What's going on? So you will not believe what Elon just said. And he pretty much went on a podcast today and said that although he does think that Tesla stock is overvalued, he still thinks that it'll be higher 5 years from now than it is today. So for long-term shareholders, that is a really good sign. So recently, we're just going to be talking about the interview that Elon had with Kara Swisher, and especially regarding like what happened on Battery Day. Okay, so he's talking about that the people on Wall Street think that once you have come up with a prototype for a car, well, that's the hard part, and everything else is trivial. Copying after that, and he's like, no, it's not. That's perhaps 1% of the problem. Large scale manufacturing, especially of a new tech, is somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 times harder than a prototype. Right? We can see that from the Nikola example. They had a great prototype, but they actually weren't even able to produce a truck or an electric vehicle that was, let's just say, was not even able to get powered by its own motor train. It actually had to. The only way you could drive it was if you rolled it down a hill. Okay, and so he's like, the press coverage of this event was sad. Okay, and he's like, okay, tell me why. And so most of the press takeaway was no battery, and he's like a sad reflection of their understanding, really. Okay, so he goes on to say that he's not trying to convince people that much, and he's saying the results will speak for themselves, right? And that's what I really, really enjoy about Elon as a CEO. He's not trying to, hype his stock up. He's saying, okay, this is where it is, and the results will speak for themselves. Unlike, of course, the already mentioned failing car company, right? And so pretty much what he talks about, and what gives me what excites me about Tesla and the energy sector in general that Tesla is going towards, is that the world is transitioning to sustainability, of course. So the question is, how long will it take to transition to sustainability? So there's two constraints: affordability and volume. And there are around 2 billion cars and trucks in the world, and there's massive amount of power plants. And so the two biggest industries in the world are energy and transport, right? And so, I mean, of course, Tesla encompasses both the energy and transport sector, right? And that's why Tesla is so well poised to pretty much become, for example, like the next $1 trillion company, right? And so to transform energy and transport, you have to make an insane amount of battery cells, which is a limiting factor, right? And so that's why there's so much focus, especially in Tesla right now, regarding these battery cells. Okay. Um, so, he honestly goes out and he says, I do not think this is a wise time to invest in gasoline cars. It's probably not a wise long-term financial decision at this point. Electric cars are the future. I mean, I totally agree, but I mean, right now you can get like a secondhand car for like $5,000. So, I mean, I definitely think I'm going to stick with that rather than paying for a pretty expensive EV car right now. And so he also goes on to say that I think Tesla at this point is not in mortal danger as it was, say, 3 years ago. And so he's like, technically Tesla has been in mortal danger for a long time, but I would say it is not in mortal danger right now. And so pretty much the reason for that is that Tesla has been able to achieve a huge volume, or at least a critical volume of manufacturing, and have sustainable positive free cash flow. That's very important. Tesla has been in debt for quite some quarters, and now finally they were able to get, I think, like 4 quarters of positive free cash flow. So actually, some stuff that's from the top line going down to the bottom line on their income, right? And so from a car company standpoint, this is the real achievement of Tesla. There have been hundreds of car company startups over the years, hundreds, right? And yet the only companies that have not gone bankrupt are Ford and Tesla. Even General Motors and Chrysler went bankrupt in 2009. And so it's insanely difficult to reach volume production as a car company and not die. And the only way a new car company breaks in is by making a car that is so compelling that people are willing to pay extra for that car, which of course is what Tesla exactly is doing, and is trying to volume up production and make a car that's even more affordable. Um, so yeah, and he goes on to say, I've gone on record already that saying that I think the stock price is a bit high. Okay, uh, elongated muskrat. That's it. He said that, and so this was at. I made a note here. This was at around $150 a share. If you go like post stock split. So right now the company's trading at like $420, and he said that he thought that when the company was at $150 per share, that was too high for the company. Um, but if you ask me, do I think Tesla will be more than this in 5 years? I think the answer is yes. Okay. So, I mean, I know Elon says a lot of things. And, I do think that that's just his honest opinion. So, I mean, this is exciting news for long-term shareholders. All right. And so this is like made like breaking headlines in the past hours, like based off of this statement that he's saying. Okay. Um, and so when we're talking about competition with other EV manufacturing companies, he's actually encouraging them, and he likes what he's seeing, right? So I like how he's not necessarily in competition with them, but he's actually trying to get them on the same track, right? So he's like, get the other car companies to head in the direction of sustainable transport as quickly as possible. And so it's good to see that the other car companies are moving towards electrification. That's great. So I just really like how Elon Musk is, the mission statement of Tesla is to pretty much expedite the transformation of the world to sustainable energy. And so, I mean, it just looks like he's all in, even if it means that other companies will sell EVs, and will take away some market share from Tesla. Okay, so that's positive news. So part of the reason, of course, is because it's paying close attention to the Keeling curve, which shows the carbon parts per million, and which, of course, grows every year at an exponential rate. And so just how radically high the carbon levels are compared to last several 100,000 years is, it is insane, right? So, and he, goes on to talk about SpaceX and stuff, and he's saying, like, for example, the actions that we take change the probability that the future will be good. And he goes on and talks stuff about like this, but I think it's just insane that he goes on and he says that he thinks that the stock price will be higher in 5 years from now, even though that he thinks it's a bit high at the moment, right? And this just shows you that although if we look at the run up of Tesla stock, that although it has run up by 400% over the year, it still has a lot to go. And maybe this is actually just the start of the Tesla curve, and will even be higher going into the future, but exponentially so, right? But we'll just have to see, of course, what happens with Tesla stock price. Um, and I'm all in. As you guys know, I bought a couple shares of Tesla a week ago when it bottomed out after Battery Day, and I'm excited to join the Teslaverse. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this. And if you want more contact, please like and subscribe, and have a fantastic day, guys.